Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Renzo here. Let's paint a new portrait. Hello Perry. Okay, hello Roger, hello Cosimo. I'm gonna check out the comments in a second. Okay. Just checking out the setup. Here are the brushes that I'm gonna use. Synthetic brushes, and the colors that I'm gonna use are titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, cadmium red, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and ivory black. I'm gonna start sketching with just burnt sienna and a bit of linseed oil. Okay, first I'll start with something pretty simple, the overall shape. I squint on my eyes and try to see just the contour of the figure. Okay, just I simplify everything. It could be even an oval shape. What I want is to place the whole head on my canvas and see if I gotta move it a bit to the left, right, up, or down. Okay, I think that's good there. Now, where is the hairline? Here, in this area. Okay, center line of the face. For that, it's better if you just use your brush and put it on top of the photograph. I got the photograph on my left, and then I move it steady to my canvas. Okay, now this could be wrong, it could be a bit to the left, a bit to the right. Don't worry about that. We need to make it, we need to create the face first there, and then we're going to start making retouches. Okay, Roger from Missouri, Kansas City, welcome. Perry Cuff is asking me if I turn the canvas like upside down. Yeah, I could do that. That's something that's something that's pretty common to do, but I cannot do that here. My setup, you see my camera here is fixed to a structure. I cannot turn it. My easel is fixed too, to be everything pretty steady. I cannot rotate it. Anyway, maybe I could try a different setup one day to rotate the painting with the photograph. Let's see. Okay, one thing that we need to know, I think we know the eyes are halfway from top to the bottom. Okay, now when you place this line, you gotta be sure how tilted is this line. Then you place one line up, roughly about the distance from the eye to the eyebrows. Don't try to find exact distance. Obviously, you're not going to place it too close to this line that's for the bottom of the eyes or up here. Once you got this and you got this, you split it in two and you got the nose. You split this in two and you got the mouth. That's the Loomis proportions. That works pretty good for every portrait. Here you have this, the nose is going to be here. The mouth is going to be here. One eye here and one eye here. What I do after that, check out alignments. That's why you gotta use a brush to always do this. Use it like vertical. And then that way you see, for example, the corner of the mouth, and you see that it's aligned up with the eye, the side of the nose, closer to be aligned with the tear duct, side of the mouth on the left side, closer to be aligned with the nose, the tear duct. Okay, once you got that, you can just add a bit more details Now another measurement that I always recommend is to measure the width and the height, and that's the distance between the corner of one eye to the corner of the other eye. I use a proportional divider. I think that's the best tool to measure. Okay, from here to here, and then turn it. Do that on the photograph first, and then do it on your painting. Usually you're going to find out that the distance from the corner of one eye for here usually is the same distance as it is from the bottom of the mouth to the level of the eyes. A little bit, more or less, but you're going to find out that that's roughly the distance or the proportion between the width and the height of the face. About the mandible, imagine that you just copying one tilted line, okay? And here the same. And from this area, usually is aligned with the bottom of the mouth. There. This area that we're turning, where the mandible is turning. Okay. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Sylvia. Welcome. Okay. Now you can draw with charcoal, with pencil. Use a fixative. Spend a lot of time on the drawing. It's up to you. I prefer sometimes just to, let's say, kind of a sketch and paint at the same time. But when I see that the face is going to be a bit more difficult to capture, I prefer to start with a tight drawing. Okay, hello Heather. Hello Fipto. Hello Heat or Head Carnivals. This is a back after more than 1 year. Oh, welcome back. Oh, Eve. Hello, Eve. Looks like you're using a new account. Okay. Now, the next step that I do, I try to establish the shadows. Okay. For that, what I try to do first is start pretty simple with the mixtures. Okay, for light, I can just use white and burnt sienna. Try to keep it pretty simple. Why? Because in this way you can just mix again. If you run out of paint, the question is not going to be how much orange this color has, how much red, how much blue. It's going to be just this. Burnt sienna and white. You can add a touch of blue if your burnt sienna maybe is too saturated, but that would be one color for the light. We try to always to simplify because it's easier to remember and to repeat it, and then continue moving on, and makes the process of learning a bit easier. Okay, for the other color, for the shadow, you can do the same. But obviously we want this color to be a bit more desaturated than the other one. Okay, depending on the light, we can just want this color maybe be a bit cooler too. Okay, now I'm mixing just burnt sienna and white. I'm gonna add a touch of ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is gonna just knock down the color. Okay, it's dark enough. Okay, a bit more ultramarine blue, a bit more burnt sienna. Okay, don't stress yourself that much because maybe the color that you're gonna mix is not gonna be okay, and that's okay. Painting is a process of making adjustments here and there. Okay, now look at that. That would be one color, and this is going to be the other color. One for the lights, one for the shadows. We see a lot of values here, but you can start just with one value, one flat value on this area. That would be the simplest thing that you could do. Okay, what we want is a color that, let's say, that's closer. We don't want to match the color at this stage. We want to be closer. Okay, look at that. I don't have more paint, but I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Just is white and burnt sienna. That's the color that's usually a palette that we use on the pen and long lessons in Patreon. Okay, now you can spend a little bit of time adding more burnt sienna, more white, but you're gonna get pretty close to the color. Maybe a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. No big deal. Okay. You can mix 3, 4, 5 values. It's up to you. I'm just trying to make it this pretty simple. It's for the likeness, you know, the likeness is going to be a bit tough on this one. Hello, Sherry. Heather saying, have drawn faces on and off for 2 years. Never seemed right. I read Renzo's book and something clicked and drew a photo really well. Oh, that was good. Oh, that's a good time to promote my ebook. It's just there, you know, on the screen. You can just look on the link in the comments. Hello, Nolan. You can check out the link in the comments. And buy a bunch of books for you and your friends. No, it's an ebook. Okay. Okay, now I continue with this one. This one you see the shadow, and you see a mid-tone there. But just to keep it simple, I can just paint just one value too. I know that I'm ignoring a light here, closer to the mouth, a light here, and a light here, okay? I know that. I'm choosing just to make it flat. What it means that I'm just thinking that to add those lights with more paint after I'm done with this blocking stage, at least with 2 values. Okay. Okay. Around the hairline. Now, I'm squinting down my eyes and I see a mid-tone here. Okay, I can use this color for this. One thing that we gotta remember, we're drawing a sphere here, the eye is a sphere. If the light is coming from here, there's gonna be light here, just like a sphere, okay? And shadow here. Okay, what else do you need to represent the sphere? Some highlight. Light is gonna be here. And core shadow. I'm gonna mix this a bit dark. A core shadow is gonna be here. Okay, that's the form of the eye because it's a sphere. Now I'm gonna draw it again. I'm gonna keep it there just to remember that. Okay, the other eye is the same. That's why you see. Oh, let me draw the other eye too. I'm mixing black with burnt sienna. I'm gonna make it this darker. Okay, the light is coming. Yes, imagine that you're gonna paint the same here. You're gonna add shadow here. Now look at the photograph. You see the shadow there, yeah? Now you see light where? Here. Obviously, the light is on the upper eyelid and the bottom eyelid, and shadow here. That's the cast shadow from the nose. And now we have here the form of the eyes, and the eyelids goes on top. Okay. Let's continue with the nose. Okay, for the upper lip, the color is a bit reddish. I can mix this with a little bit of red and paint the upper lip. The bottom lip is a bit lighter. Let me squint down my eyes. No, it looks the same, looks pretty similar. Okay, let's paint it just flat first. Let's paint just this flat. Okay. Now I'm gonna paint around the hair and the background. Okay. Hello, Ben Store. Okay, I want to show you two images that I have here with me. And I want to check out those images as I continue painting. I want to show them here on top. Okay, let me see. I got this one. You see the one on top? This one. Now I got the one because it's so dark and it shows clearly light here. You know, you see the face like this? No, light on some areas that we know there's bumps because of the muscles and bone structure. Okay, and I got this one. I don't know if you notice the difference. It's kind of blurry. It's pretty blurry. It's something that I see when I squint on my eyes, and that's what I want. When I squint on my eyes, I'm making an effort. I squint a bit more, a bit less. When I have an image like this, that you all can do it with your cell phone. It's more stable. You see everything blurry, and since there's no way that you're gonna look at details, okay, you're gonna just pay attention to what? To values, light, midtones, and shadows. That's what we want. Okay. I got all those images here. Okay, I'm gonna paint the hair. I can just use the same colors, just burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, and keep it simple. Using a little bit of linseed oil. You see me that I'm squinting down my eyes. Sometimes I close one eye. Okay, there. Okay, now I need to mix another color for the background. One thing that we want to paint everything first. In that way we can just show values better. Right now, if I squint down my eyes, I see the value of the background is kind of the same value of the face, pretty close. But if I see the photograph, the background is darker, okay? And that's something that's pretty simple, but that adds more light to the face. Yeah? We can just keep using burnt sienna and ultramarine blue and get the color of the background, at least for the first layer. In that way, you don't have to deal with a lot of colors for mixing. Okay. Okay, here's the brush. Okay, ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and I'm gonna add white. If the color has more blue, it's gonna look grayish, like the one I have right now here. I'm gonna add more burnt sienna, more and more, until I got this kind of grayish, warmy color. Okay, a bit more of burnt sienna. Okay, there, I think it's gonna be good. Okay, mix it here on the canvas. Somebody was asking me about my setup, about why I paint on why my palette is part of the painting. It's just when I started classes in Patreon, that was pretty difficult to me to keep stable the palette and the painting. And I tried, you know, so many things, and it was just like kind of annoying. I couldn't make it like kind of put it at the same level. My camera was focusing the palette and not the painting, and it was like just maybe I should have spent more time on the setups on my camera, but I preferred just to do this, you know. I got that horizontal canvas. I remember that day, and I said, okay, I can paint it just this side of the canvas, and just that's gonna be the palette. Yeah. And it's gonna be pretty close. It's gonna have the same color. That means that the color that I see on the palette is gonna be pretty close to the color that I apply to the painting. Because sometimes the palette is white, and the canvas is not white, or vice versa. And the color could look a bit darker on the palette and look lighter on the painting. Maybe the difference is so subtle, but it could be kind of annoying a few times. Okay. Now I have established, okay, all the lights, just one area of light and shadow. Okay. Now here I'm gonna spend some time trying to get the saturation of the color. Maybe I'm gonna need to knock down the color a bit more. Okay, maybe I'm gonna need to cool down the color a bit. Let's see. Okay, for example, if I using this one, this was just white and burnt sienna. If I add ultramarine blue, what's happening here? The color becomes cooler, grayish too, kind of, you know, grayish cooler. Okay, you see, I don't know if the difference is clear. Okay, what if you paint with this color? Do you see a difference? Okay, now what if you add to this color a touch of yellow? Becomes a little bit greenish. Okay, that's how you change color a bit. Which one? Even black could work pretty good here. Now be careful with black. It's a beautiful color, but you could knock down the colors so fast. But look at this greenish color. Okay. Now the thing is that now here that I see my painting, I'm thinking it needs to be darker, lighter. What about the shadows? I need darker shadows. Okay. Here's the moment where I can do all those changes. Okay. First, one thing that I want to change is the hair. It looks too light. I want to make it a bit darker. Okay. Now the shadows. Here's when you start making adjustments. Okay. The shadow is darker. I can just burn sienna, more ultramarine blue, touch of white. If you see the color is too bluish, more burn sienna. Okay, and paint here. This is dark enough. Okay. Now the eye here, the iris around here. Okay, here you need to paint upper eyelid, bottom eyelid. Okay. Adding a little bit of alizarin crimson, a little bit of black. I want to paint this a bit darker, but with a little bit of alizarin crimson. Okay. Okay. One thing I need to see at pure black, one portion of the hair. Just when I put it with a palette knife like this, I see the real value. You see how dark it is. Okay, I need that. I need the darker value. Here maybe it shouldn't be that too dark, but anyway, I need that to be able to judge all the other values. Okay, the idea is that now I know the range of values from the lighter one to the darker one. I don't see any lighter value like pure white on the face. Maybe the lighter value that I could paint on the face is going to be the tip of the nose. Maybe it's going to be just with pure white. Okay, maybe. Now, okay, hello Gary. One second. Okay. Now, to this point, everything is kind of simple. The mixture for the colors is simple, just burnt sienna, white, and ultramarine blue. Okay. We have established two values, light and shadows. Yeah. Okay, I have a mistake at the beginning with the darker value. Just retouching and making this even darker. Okay. Now we need to work on some midtones. Now here, when you want to master portrait painting, you need to study anatomy. Okay. Now I'm gonna draw on top of the painting, but if somebody's gonna use the video to paint along, I'm gonna tell you to do what I'm gonna do now. You can just use a piece of paper to draw. Okay. This is what I'm planning to do. Here, for example, that's the eye. Yeah? Here, remember, that's the upper part of the eye socket. Here, the eye socket, it goes like this, it goes like this. Okay? Like that. Here we have cheekbone. We have a bump, a light on this area. Now, on this area, there is muscle, and there's going to be always a depression here. And that's the reason why we're going to see a shadow there, a mid-tone here that goes like this. Okay? Now, we're going to see a subtle mid-tone here that goes like this. That's the bottom of the cheekbone. That it happens to be aligned with the nose. And it goes to the ear canal. Okay? Now, that's kind of what we see through the skin, let's say, of the bones of the face. Here's the glabella, the bone there. Okay, here's the side of the nose. Okay, now this area around the mouth is about muscles. We have here this form that goes like this, and a bump here. Okay, this is formed because the orbicularis oris, that's the muscle that goes on top. Okay, goes like this on top of the zygomaticus major, minor, risorius, and more muscles that go to this corner. That's why we're going to see always, okay, a shadow there and a little bit of light here. Okay, now with that anatomy, bones again, this is like this. It means that it has kind of rectangular, cylindrical volume. Okay, it means what? That there is shadow here. Don't do that on your painting. Don't do this on your painting. And light here. Okay, light is coming from here. It means this is rotating. Okay, I'm gonna just paint the mouth again. I love to do this. As I teach, I study myself, you know, the form every single time. Now, here there is a bump, there is a muscle, levator labii superioris, that goes like this, by the way, like this. We're not gonna see most of those muscles because fat tissue on top. But we need to know that, okay, in order to understand the bumps, lights, and midtones. For example, without seeing the photograph, I could think that I would not need to see a little bit of a midtone here. Okay, why? Because that's the bottom of the eye socket. Okay, I'm gonna need to see a midtone here. Why? Because that's the form, the rounded form of the wing of the nose. All this area is harder fat tissue, and here's cartilage of this area up here. Okay, now there's going to be a midtone here too. Why? Because I know that there is a depression on all this area. Sometimes we see when somebody is skinny, but sometimes we just see this, you know, fat tissue here. Okay, the midtone here, I know it's going to be there. The mandible is curvy. Okay, that means that the color here is going to be a bit darker. What happens when we start speaking about color? Maybe it's too much. We got to think about temperature. what it means that we need to cool down the color and put it here. Why? Because it's just color theory. A color that's cooler is going to recede. A color that's warmer is going to just move forward. Okay? Now, can you see this mid-tone there on the photograph? Man, it's pretty clear, yeah? That's the muzzle. Here there's a muzzle, here there is a muzzle. Okay? Can you see this here that goes, looks like goes like this? Subtle, but look like that. That's another muscle, that the risorius muscle. Okay. Now this we move. I'm moving from something simple to something a bit more complex, because when we want to master a portrait, we need to study that. Now we study this by practicing. It's not going to happen by reading. It's going to happen by painting this over and over. Theory could help us, to understand. But actually painting this is what is going to just give us the knowledge. Because we are here, we are visual learners. We need to do it and see it. Adding a little bit of blue and orange to get a greenish color. Okay, what will happen here again? Okay, this color here is going to be warmer, cooler. That depends of the skin color here. But if you ask me just like that, what would be? It's going to be a cool color, because I want this to turn and recede. Yeah? Okay. Now I'm going to start blending a bit. I explained it a bit of the muscles. Now there's going to be lights on the same spots, usually light here, just because it's the cheekbone, light here. Yeah? That's the eye socket, and here there's a muscle, the orbicularis oculi. Light here, light here. Okay, light here, light here. Now when it's about mixing the skin color, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, when you see the photograph or you see the person in front of you, the light that this person is getting on the face is warm or cool? That's going to give you a clue about the colors you're going to use. Okay. Now I'm going to mix the colors. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ron. I don't know, where are you here, for buying my ebook. Okay. Let's continue. Okay, now I'm gonna use this brush for blending a bit. Blend, I clean the brush. Okay. Now, when I'm blending here, I know what I see this mid-tone here, or why this form is like this. That helps me a lot. Okay, it means that my eyes doesn't have to be just 100% on the photograph. As I'm blending and molding the face, I know the form of the face, because that happens that anatomy, you know, we all have the same bone structure beneath the skin and beneath the muscles. Or bone structure could be a bit bigger, smaller. There are differences between men and women, but not differences that, you know, like we should point out like something so important and for painting. Okay. You gotta be careful when black is touching the skin color. Sometimes you're gonna see that the color is gonna look kind of muddy. Okay, when that happens, for example here, what we need to do is clean the color. How you clean the color? Imagine every single time that the cleanest colors that you have on your palette are just the ones here: yellow, orange, red. What it means that to clean a color, you gotta get closer with the mixture to one of those colors. Okay, where you gonna do that? How you gonna do that? You just add one of those colors to the painting, and you can just mix it on the palette before putting on the canvas. Or imagine you just doing this: just pick up a little bit of red and put in here. Maybe it's not gonna be the color that you want to paint there, but just making this like an example. What's going to happen with that area? It's going to look a bit reddish, and if it looks a bit reddish, it already means that the color is a bit cleaner than it was before. You can try burnt sienna, you can try you know, orange, you can try a darker red. Okay. If you are painting anything, a landscape, and the sky is grayish, how are you going to clean the color? You make it more bluish. You move the color closer to a pure color, and it's going to look cleaner. As you move away from the color on the palette, the danger is that the color could look grayish, cooler, or muddy. And if you don't place it on the right position, you're gonna need to change it. Okay. Let me see if I got a comment. Hello, Jonas. Is portrait painting like a puzzle? Yeah, it is. You have to find and place the correct colors where it should be, and the portrait reveals itself. Yeah, that's right, Jonas. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna the sharp edge here a bit, just a bit, and a bit here. Okay, clean the brush. I want to keep it softer here. Okay, now a bit darker here. Okay, clean the brush. A bit of blue, a bit of black. Darker here. Blend it a bit. Okay, remember that on this area, the eyebrow is on top of a rounded area because that's the upper part of the eye socket. That's why it's darker here, and it's going to be a bit lighter on this area. Okay, darker there. Okay, I need to add a little bit of pink here. Okay. Trying to match the value. You know, there is some reddish areas on the skin, cheeks, nose, chin. The good thing about this photograph is that's so clear. Okay, a bit darker here. Oh, it's still darker. Clean the brush for the ear. Okay, a little bit greenish for this area. Okay, you can paint it greenish or grayish. What about black and white? Well, I mix it with this one. Grayish, not too dark. Same value. Okay. Yeah, I'll go back to this greenish color. Again here. Reddish again. This area of fat tissue. Okay, we can see a mid-tone here. Do you see in the photograph? That's the nasal bone. There. Okay, that's pretty amazing. Here, I'm gonna draw again lines on the face. You can see here something that looks like this. Okay. Do you notice that? Okay, and a split in the center, that's the cartilage. The center of the nose is just cartilage. Okay, that's why we see a mid-tone here. Okay, mid-tone on top. Okay, here too. That's all those is just to create the volume of that area. Okay. Hello, Manny. Okay, let me squint down my eyes. Okay. Okay. Now, we got the nose. Yeah? The nose is warmer, is reddish. We can make it pinky, a bit orangey, but it's a warmer color here. Yeah? Okay. Now, the color of the shadow. Okay, we can add some violet or purple. Okay. Now you're gonna barely notice because it's in shadow, but if you got closer or you're working on your painting, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see the color clearly. Okay. Now you have a cool color here and a warm color there. What color theory says that contrast is gonna make the warm color pop. And that's what we want about the nose. We want the nose to move forward. Okay? Now, the same we could do here on the edge of the face. Now, how cool is the color we could use? Now, it depends, okay? It could be pretty cool. It could be like a neutral gray, which is gonna be a cool color if it's surrounded by warmer colors. It depends. White on the eye. Now when you're painting white on the eye, remember that what I did at the beginning, I established that this is a sphere that's getting light from the right, shadow shadow on the left. Okay. Now when you're painting the upper eyelid here, the light on the upper eyelid is not as light as the light here. Okay, remember that, because sometimes we paint this light too bright, lighter than the light on the upper eyelid, and on the upper, below the eyebrow. Okay. Okay, remember the light here, this one here, this one is lighter than this one, and then the light on the upper eyelid. Now, I'm saying that because it's pretty common to add a lot of light to this area, a highlight as bright as it is the light on the cheekbone, and that's something that we shouldn't do. Okay. Why? You say why? Maybe somebody's asking why. It's the distance. The eye and the upper eyelid is a little bit far away from the point of view than the upper part of the eye socket. It's just like when I tell you, what's closer to me, the nose or the cheekbone? The nose or the ear? It's the same question. The face is not flat, it's three-dimensional. Some areas are closer, some areas are just a bit far away, a bit. We're not speaking about a landscape. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just add pure white for some lights here. Okay, here. Okay, here. Okay, now darker areas. Okay, I'm gonna exaggerate this a bit darker than it is, just because I need to see it darker. Okay, there. I'm gonna light up this in a second. Those are the values, and sometimes because we want to paint details, we forget about the value structure. That's the value structure. There's going to be always darker there, always. Okay, there. Okay. Now a little bit of pink here to clean this color. Okay. I need to make some adjustments on my camera. Okay. Now I can start adding a bit more orange. We can add more and more colors. It depends. You want to change the skin color a bit more, a bit less, a bit warmer, a bit cooler. Okay, I'm gonna blend a bit. Hello, Gypsy. Okay, I'm gonna blend a bit. Here we gotta be careful because when we blend, sometimes we flatten, the portrait. We blend away those subtle, bumps that creates a realistic feeling on the face and creates the volume. Well, do I still see, light midtones? No. I wanna see a bit more of this light, a bit more light here. Okay. I'm just dabbing. Okay. I still need to paint the mouth, the color of the lips. want to get rid of those subtle marks that I did when I explained the anatomy of the face. Okay. Oh, I need some midtones here on the face, on the forehead. You see on the forehead there, this, and here. Okay, and here. Okay, there's a bump here, that area. Okay, I need to add a bit of light below the eyebrow. Who's painting with me? Is there somebody that's painting with me or drawing with me? Okay, I need pure black. Here. And here. I'm trying to get this area here, you know. Here is a little bit flat, a little bit greenish. Just here, this little portion there. That's the plane of the nose. That's kind of tricky to get. I'm gonna add some eyelashes. I think that's gonna help with the expression. Also gonna paint with you, but in the middle of an acrylic painting. Okay, Gypsy. Oh, Jonas is painting right now. Gypsy is saying, what are we gonna paint tomorrow? Tomorrow is we're gonna paint with oils. I didn't pick up the image yet. I was thinking a still life. Yeah. I was thinking a still life, but what I do when I pick up an image for a class is I usually go on Pinterest, and let's say like today I'm thinking tomorrow that's gonna be like still life. That's gonna be a nice subject, and then I got into Pinterest and I see a beautiful landscape, and I choose the landscape. We will not have fixed subjects. What we have are just fixed, let's say, use of materials. First Friday is oil, then is acrylics, and then the last 2 Fridays of the month we paint with pastels. Okay, as I continue painting, I'm paying attention to these things that was mentioned. The light here. This light represents the rounding of the eye. The light here, the cheekbone, the roundness of the cheekbone. Light here is pretty subtle, but this is fat tissue. Okay, and there's another light that we see a highlight here. But remember, this form is not flat, it's cylindrical. And one choice that we have always is to paint a sharp edge around the nose. And that's something that we do as painters. Even when we don't see a sharp edge, we paint a sharp edge there. That separate the nose and make the nose pop. You know, that's all we want when it's about creating the illusion of three-dimensionality, to separate the things from the canvas, make it look three-dimensional. In some way, that's where we use color, the knowledge about anatomy, all the things that we need to know to paint the portrait. Okay, and one of the more important things when we are done with the drawing and values becomes edges, because when we have sharp edges, because we're gonna paint every single detail, we end up with a cartoonish painting. That's pretty tricky. That's something that we gotta pay extra attention, because as we paint these little things, like the little bit more light here because of the cheekbone, a mid-tone here because of the cartilage of the nose, for example, here a mid-tone, here too, okay, here, that move us to a path where we can just paint more and more details. You gotta be careful there. Okay, don't think about this as details. Think about as necessary, you know, ups and downs to represent the volume. But don't confuse them with painting eyelash by eyelash, okay, or outlining the eye so perfectly. No. Okay, that's the difficult part. And knowing when to stop, when is enough. That's the other thing. Okay, something that we need to learn when we paint portraits is to choose brush strokes. For example, here in this area, I'm choosing not brush stroke like a loose or sharp. I'm choosing a brush stroke that's gonna create the sharp edge. This. Okay, it could be a bigger brush stroke. It could be made of smaller brush strokes. And here, soft. Okay. Oh, let me. Now here completely lost, soft, lost. That's gonna create contrast. About the mouth, one thing that I have an advantage here because of my canvas, I can wipe off this color and show the color of my canvas, which is better to paint the color of the mouth on top of that color than the top of the color of this darker red I have here. Now I'm mixing just red with this color number 1. I'm gonna repaint here. Okay, more white with red. A pinky color here. There's going to be an area where the color got kind of melt with the skin below here. I need a mid-tone here, pretty subtle. Okay, a darker color for the nostril, just the corner, just a bit there. Okay, let me add a highlight to the eyes. Let's see, to the irises. Okay, here with these 2 brush strokes, I'm trying to represent here the cheekbone. Okay, and the bottom portion of the eye here, the eye back there, which is rounded. Remember, that's that area. You see that clearly on the photograph on this side of the eye. Now, depending on your own level, you need to know when to stop. If you stop before starting working on all these other things, if you stop when you got the values, light, mid-tones, and shadows, 3 values and the features, that could be a really good practice. And then you can let it dry and continue on things like trying to recognize the shape or the form of the cartilage on the nose. Okay, and for that, what is better is to draw the cartilage. Practice doing that. Okay, and that way, it's just remember that the only way that how we get knowledge about the face is by drawing or painting part of the face. Okay, now a sharp edge here. I need a sharp edge. There. Okay, a sharp edge here on the mouth, the corner of the mouth here, just there, and make it softer here. Now I'm gonna sacrifice a little bit of the tear there. Maybe I'm gonna need to repaint this, but I want to avoid any sharp edge, any cartoonish look on that area of the face. Okay, things that I need to remember by seeing just your portrait, not even seeing the photograph. Do I have enough light here? Okay. That creates this rounded form because of the muscle. Okay. This one here. Okay. There's a bump. The value that I got there is good enough. Here. Okay. Now here between the, okay, that separation there, you know that the name of the muscle here is mentalis. One goes to the left, one goes to the right. And we see this little space between the muscles. Okay. Now you can blend it so many times. Be sure that see subtle, values that represent those muscles, those ups and downs, those bumps. Clean the brush, I pick up more white. Mid-tone here. Gotta be careful with that. Grayish color. Okay, blend it. Softer here. Okay, softer here, a bit sharper here. So difficult to paint this area. Okay, I'm gonna use lighter color. Here I want a sharp edge. I'm gonna need to move the chin a little bit up. Here's where you think, hey, this color should be warmer, cooler, grayish, because you're gonna need to represent the form turning. Hello Monique, hello Ryan. Gary, thoughts behind where to place soft and hard edges? Oh yeah. Hello Ryan saying, oh, learning the planes of the face could help. Yeah, definitely. Learning the planes of the face and learning anatomy helps. Okay. For example, a sharp edge or a hard edge when we paint a portrait. Okay, one, it could be always on every single portrait. No, depending on the lighting, you know, the contrast, but let's say this kind of situation. You can place a sharp edge here. Okay. There. Okay. Then soft, and then you can make it a bit sharper on the eyebrow, just a bit. Just a bit. We don't want a sharp eyebrow. We want a soft brow. Okay. Now, here on the contour of the face, there, a sharp edge. Okay. You have a sharp edge just here. Okay. But now, the hair is everything softer. We can play a bit with that. How? We can just paint a sharp edge there. Okay, and everything softer. Pretty soft next to that one. That's too sharp. Okay, there. Soft. Then soft. Okay, just that little touch. I don't think that we need anything more here. Now, on the background, you can have a sharp edge here. Okay, pretty lost here, pretty soft. Wow, that was too much black. The same here. What about a little bit sharper here? Okay, then lost, hard and soft, and some really lost edges. Okay, now look at here. Sharp, hard, soft, a little bit hard. It's not going to be the same always. Okay. A bit softer here. If you think about percentages, let's say, about ages, it's just like 80% of the painting has to be made of soft edges. Okay. Okay, about the mouth. Now I'm thinking here, should I make it a bit darker? Because I see the photograph a bit, I see that's darker here on the left side, because the mouth is a little bit open. Now that adds to my interpretation, to my painting. Okay, That helps in some way? That's the question. Okay. Now remember, when you think about drawing, check out alignments, measure, use a proportional divider. When you check out values, squint down your eyes. Have at least in the painting one area that's going to be completely dark. In that way you can just compare the range of values you have from black to white. Okay. When it's about what I'm doing right now, a little bit of light, midtones here, you need to, if you're gonna master portraits, you need to know anatomy. Now, that's not something that I would suggest to start with. I would suggest just to start painting portraits, and as you paint, you introduce anatomy, just little by little. Okay, just a bit of bones, muscles. It's not something that we learn in one day. It's about repetition, practice, and as we keep doing that, we're starting to see, every time that we paint, we're starting to understand why we see a light on the same spot, why there is a mid-tone here and there. Okay, and since anatomy is consistent on every face, at some point it becomes something that you stop copying from the photograph. It's not going to be about copy. It's going to be about applying the knowledge you have in combination with observing or seeing the model's face. But that's pretty nice. Rely half on knowledge and half on observation. Okay. Okay, remember those things. Here, be careful when you're blending. Remember, we don't flatten the painting. And about edges, it's better if you sacrifice a little bit of some hard edge. If your painting is going to add some atmosphere. So many portraits that I have seen the mouth completely soft and blurry, and the portraits are just beautiful. So few information and amazing results. For La Prima looks like that's the goal. Okay. I think I got the face a little bit wider. Okay, I'm gonna narrow the face here. And here too. Another thing that I just noticed is the neck. The neck is too thick. Okay, I think I got too much light on the forehead. And one more thing here. I need more light here. Okay, I need to darken up the forehead. Okay. I go back to my first mixture, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue and white. A bit darker, a bit more blue, darker and grayish. Okay, yeah, I think that's better. Clean the brush. Now blending with the hair. Okay, I think it's good, but I think I need a darker shadow just here. It goes like this. Yep. I'm adding a little bit of burnt sienna on the hair. Yeah, that's better. What do you think? Oh, that's good that you like it, Ben Store. Ryanoic is saying, one thing I found super interesting is how light, when reflected off skin and back onto the skin, like under the neck, can become more saturated because skin colored light is illuminating the skin. Let me see. Okay, I think I need some sharper edges here and there. What about the background? Yeah. What if I do something like this? Doesn't work. I'm gonna paint the background again. Okay, here's the brush. Here's the brush. I would like something about the hair. I'm adding just a bit of contrast here, a little bit of red. When I'm thinking about contrast, I wasn't thinking just about black, like contrast like black and white. I was thinking contrast like a bit of color there, and see how it works. Okay. Now, if this color is just driving my attention to this area too much, it means that's not good. If I needed to do it because I margin this, but it's not enough. We need to do it. No, I think it's better now. A little bit of that yellowish, but not that much. Okay, I'm trying to see a little bit of the muscles here. You know, this muscle is the sternocleidomastoid muscle that goes like this. It goes like this. Okay. But subtle, okay? I think I need more light on the mandible. There. But as I work on the light, you always gotta keep in mind that here there is this mid-tone, subtle mid-tone, and grade down the color a bit because it's on the plane that's on the side of the face. That's the bottom of the zygomatic bone. Sometimes it's pretty clear, sometimes it's pretty subtle. But since I've been lighting up this area here, you know, the problem is that I could light up all this and make it flat. I need to see, you know, that depression there because of the bone. Here, like for example, on the nose, okay, that little subtle mid-tone, it shows the nasal bone. A sharp edge separates the eye from the nose. Okay, now you gotta one thing that we gotta remember: we need to go back and forth on the highlights because every time that we blend, we continue blending and molding the face, we affect the lights mostly. Okay, now I mean I gotta say that affects more the shadows, but since I'm working on the lights, after blending, I don't see lights and highlights and the face looks flat. Even that there is not so many values, like so many contrast, gotta be able to, for example, this brush stroke here is a lighter mid-tone that what I'm trying to do is keeping the roundness on this area. Okay, that it needs to look like a little bit swollen. And here's the same, the light continues from here. Now, more than copy what you see there, that we see the light there, it's trying to get the volume here. Okay, and now the cheekbone there, again, more light, a little bit of a highlight here, just tiny bit. Now, one more thing that I love to do sometimes is use green. I'm gonna use yellow, for example, with white, and put it as a highlight. That's gonna glow. That's gonna glow because yellow glows more than pure white. And sometimes I use green. You see how that glows? Okay. Now, we don't wanna make that highlight glow that much because otherwise it's gonna look like plastic. Skin color is opaque. We just see highlights glowing as plastic on the eyes because eyes are wet, and the mouth, the lips, like here, for example. Okay, about the color of the eyes. If the light is coming from the right, there's going to be light on the left side of the iris. And there, okay? Here too, but here's the light is not as bright as the other eye. Okay. The center of the eye, that's going to be pure black. That's the pupil, pure black. You can do it with even a palette knife. Okay, add pure black there. That's going to be darker than the nostrils, darker than the corner of the mouth, darker than anything. Now, one thing that I'm choosing not to do is darken up the mouth. I don't know if I'm going to just regret not doing that. But right now, I'm keeping the tension on the eyes. I have the tension on the eyes, the nose, this area, and the highlight here. And then the nose here, and then this is soft, and this soft. I think I like that. Yeah. I'm choosing that now. I don't know if I'm gonna regret that later, but anyway, I like it right now. And I'm basing my decision on a focal point. That's the eyes and the nose, okay? And the mouth is just soft. Okay. Now, one more thing that I have a doubt. If I should darken up the contour, and I'm thinking if I darken up the contour here, this is going to be darker than the mouth. Maybe I don't want that. I don't want that competition between values there. If I want more contrast, what should I do is light up the background there. The same way, if I want more contrast on the right side, I could do the same. Okay, light up a little bit of a hard edge, and that's it. Just that. Here, everything stays soft. You can even get lost here on the shoulder. Okay. Now, another thing that I was thinking is about the shoulder. Here's darker on the photograph. Now, do I need that? I mean, do I need that like one more value to see? That adds to my painting or not? I think I got, with the face, I got enough. I think to myself, but that's the thing, that's the problem, that when we think about details and we continue painting, it's just like we see the image and we see, oh, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. Now that's when we need to know when to stop. More than ever when is kind of a sketchy painting, because la prima is going to be always a little bit, let's say, realistic, but there's going to be always sketchy, because in just so few time we cannot paint every single detail. More than any style, we're choosing what to paint when we paint at la prima. We're always choosing what to paint. That means that we gotta think every brush stroke. Okay, even when we started painting that could look kind of chaotic, like full of chaos, at some point we gotta start thinking about a brush stroke is dark enough, light enough, cool enough, sharper. Okay. Do we need more contrast? Or interpretation is good, or do we need to do some changes? Okay. I see the differences here. Here's darker, way darker than I'm doing on the photograph. Okay, I think that would be for today. Maybe a bit more blending here, a little bit of burnt sienna and blending here. Let me just do this here. I don't like to see this, glare. It's been almost, almost 2 hours. Oh, I have here, hello. Okay, good evening, Bob. Oh, I got a question for GD. Oh yes, I got always just the same palette. Yeah, same order most of the time. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Deborah. Okay. I'll put the hint of teeth. I don't want to. She cut the eyebrow to her left. Oh yes, I need to do something there. Yeah, yes, thank you. Okay, I have another. Nair Williams saying her right side of the face a little bit chubby. Okay. Oh, now that you mentioned, now I see it. Sylvie is saying, do you sell also printed version of your ebook? Oh, not yet. You know, I was seeing that option on Amazon, but for some reason I cannot make it. It's kind of complicated. It's complicated for me to get the right setup to get this, and I kind of just give up on trying to do the setup on Amazon for a printed version. And more than anything, that's like the cost. It goes up like to almost $40, and you know, it's a small book. Yeah. Okay, one more thing here on the right side. Yeah, you know what? I noticed that a bit skinnier here. Thank you for the critique. I think it was William. Thank you, William. I'm gonna move the ear a little bit up. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah. I don't like this hard edge that I painted here. Kind of like it at the beginning when I did it. But the more I see it, I think it's just competing with the tension of the eye. I need to narrow the face here. Okay, I think that's okay. A little bit lighter here. Oops, that's too much. Okay, a bit darker here. Hey, I think that's better. Oh, Nair. Oh, thank you, Nair. Nair saying you're as brilliant as me. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you learned something, Deborah. I tell you what, says Nair, it doesn't need the teeth showing. It's a risk, as we know why. I know why. Yeah. Sometimes if I see something that's not so clear, and that's gonna just bring me more unnecessary work, and maybe it's not gonna add more to the painting. I could skip on that and put more attention on the eyes or the structure or values. Okay, I think that's it for today. I wanted some softness on the portrait. I think I still see the softness, feel the softness. I'm afraid to continue, and since I'm just seeing this painting for 2 hours, maybe I wouldn't notice when I stop. See, I start being soft and I start being hard or cartoonish. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Yeah. Yeah. I see things here and there that I would love to continue painting, but no. Yeah, that's a good time to stop. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Hope you enjoyed as much as I do. Much as I do it. Yeah. Oh, one more thing. I need to soften here. And you know that you got my ebook there. There's the link on the comments. You got my Patreon if you want to paint along with me and get feedback in real time, or if you want to watch a lot of recording sessions or a lot of lessons on anatomy, portraits, and you can visit my Patreon. The link is in the comments too. Okay, hey Michael. Thank you, Jonas. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. See you all next week. Thank you, Andreas. Andreas saying hi from Berlin. Hi from Peru to everybody. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.